up, folks? Sean the Average Angler coming at you with another great video. And today we're going to hit on fall. We're going to hit on it hard. Kind of like the enthusiasm, huh? All right, I got a tournament coming up the end of October, and I'm fired up because I get to go do it with a bunch of my buddies. That's always the fun part. Really the best part, to be honest with you. Getting to hang out with old friends, having fun fishing. All right, so if you're new to the channel, you like this kind of content, hit that subscribe button down there. We're on a mission. We are going to do a 5,000 subscriber giveaway. What exactly yet? I don't know what we're going to give away, but it's going to be good. You guys seen my unboxings. You've seen the garage. I got all kinds of stuff. We'll make it a good one. We can do seasonal. We can talk to whoever wins, and I will set up a nice prize pack for you and send it out to you, okay? All you got to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel, and you are entered into that giveaway when we hit 5,000 subscribers. All right, moving on to the real stuff. We're inching closer to fall. I know some of you guys are in fall. For us, it's near. It's the next couple weeks. Hopefully, it can go all the way to the end of October, but we're hoping that we get into the next couple weeks. Because I'm really honestly getting tired of going out there and struggling, but that's the way it is. All right, so today we are going to talk a very valuable bait in the fall and in the spring. Quite honestly, it can be good year-round. If you're scoping, it's become a very popular scope bait. But look, originally, this was never a scope bait. This was just a bait we went out and fished. We cover water with it, and it's just a great bait to catch fish with. And that is the good old, and this is what happens. It's a good old-fashioned rip bait, jerk bait, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of staples here. We got a lot of different models and brands of rip baits to go over. And one thing you'll find on my channel, unlike some others, which I will not mention, but I have no brand bias here, okay? You ask me a question about another different brand and whether they endorse me or not, I'm going to give you my honest opinion on it. And quite honestly, if it's in this box, I don't have a bad opinion of it. This is my game day jerkbait box. Okay? Actually, I've got a couple. But we're going to go over some of that stuff. So let's just start with the good old Megabass Vision 110. This one's the +1. Here is going to make me pull it off a peg. All right, just trust me. I have the regular Visions, 110s, 110 +1, 110 +2. I don't get into all the juniors and all that because quite honestly, this is a little smaller bait fish. If you guys have small bait fish where you're at, you might want to step down to the junior. But quite honestly, where I'm at, this is a little tiny bait anyway. Now, I don't remember the colors of all these, but for some reason, I think this is a table rock shad. It's got purple on the top, going to that green chartreuse, down to the pearl, and excellent, excellent. No debating. I do have a hard time saying it's the best because it's a very circumstantial bait. Megabass is well, actually, all the Megabass, quite honestly. Here's a different one, okay? The Megabass rip baits are really they're a finesse rip bait. Okay, you need to fish them on 10-pound test or lighter. Some guys fish them on spinning rods, some guys fish them on casting rods, but they have their downfalls. But that's because that's not what they're designed for. Okay, you cannot fish them hard. If you're ripping them hard, that kind of stuff, they will blow out. They are meant to be a finesse jerk bait, so you want little softer jerks with the proper rods, nice soft tip rod to give back to the bait when you jerk. And they are fish catching machines. They are only fished by me when it's slick calm outside. Okay, if we got some wind going, we got some chop going on the water, I'm not going to go that way. It's just, they're just a finesse rip bait. And one other thing I will say, let's just add this in there before we move on to bigger and better things. Okay, these hooks, I'm not going to say they're garbage. They're not garbage. They're really sharp. They're good hooks. They're about the most fragile hook you will ever come across. Okay, so if you're around bigger fish, do yourself a favor and change the hooks out. I really like the Gamakatsu Aaron Martin G-Finesse trebles. You can't go wrong with those. They're going to give you a little more strength. They're also very sharp. All right, let's move on to some of their competitors and some baits that might offer us something a little different, but they're in that same realm. And where I'm going to go if the wind's blowing, and that's right here. This is an OSP Varuna. Okay, very similar, except this will not blow out. Okay, you can rip this hard. And quite honestly, this bait is designed to be fished on 14-pound, 15-pound fluorocarbon. So we're getting into a different spectrum here. And I really like this because quite honestly, look, every fishery is different and we need the proper bait for that fishery. This bait can be worked harder. You see the lip thickness here. Hopefully you do. Okay, it's a little thicker lip. It's much sturdier. The Megabass is much thinner. You don't see it as much on this, but it's much thinner and flexible. You don't want to rip them hard. They're not weighted the same. They both have the transfer system. This has more weight in it. Okay. The OSP Varuna is a fantastic, and I know I'm pissing people off right now by even telling you about it, but it's a fantastic bait to get out there in those windy conditions is when I make those switches, okay? Glassed off, we go Megabass. When we get some wind and ripples on the water and this kind of stuff, we switch to the OSP Varuna, going beyond. All right, those are 110, so let's go beyond that. This is another Varuna. Both companies, they got a lot of great colors. All right, another one, if you are in those windy type conditions, and this is, we're also going to go somewhere else with this, is we're getting longer. And I believe that's the Pointer 112 by Lucky Craft. Okay, another great bait. Again, we're going back to the thin lip. I can actually kind of twist this a little bit. I can push on it and it'll bend. So it's kind of your tweener. It's kind of in between that Megabass and that Varuna. Next, we are going to really step it up here, and we are going to go to a Lucky Craft Pointer. I believe this is the 128. It says Pointer SP. But staying on the JDM side, we have the Rudra. Okay, it's 130 millimeters. As you can see, this is probably a 128 pointer. Okay, a little bulkier body on it. This one's a little more slender. This one's a little more bulky. Little steeper bill on the Lucky Craft than you have on the Rudra. Both can be fished aggressively. The OSP baits are meant to be fished aggressively. They're also designed to hit those diving depths with 14-pound test, okay? That 128, you can run 12 to 14-pound test on. You're not going to have to baby it like you do the Megabass. And I'm not knocking Megabass in my assessment here. I just want to teach everybody so that they're aware that there are other baits out there that they can use where they don't necessarily have to use the light line all the time. Okay, another one of those that you can put down there in that Megabass category is the 6th Sense. Okay, there's a lot of great rip baits out there, guys. You don't need to stick with one brand, and quite honestly, I don't. I've got all sorts of them in here. The Stunna 112.1. If ever there was a knockoff bait on the Megabass Vision 110, I would say it's the Stunna, but I do believe they're different. I do believe they made some changes, but I believe they were designing it off of the Megabass. These are half the price, okay? This is what irritated me is I saw questions being asked on that other channel about other brands or, hey, what about the Berkley Stunna? They get no response. So I'm here to tell you this bait is the real deal. Hank Cherry won Bassmaster Classic on this, okay? Fantastic bait. Is it a Megabass? No, but it does the job, gets the job done. It is very, very good. I have a ton of them because, quite honestly, they're a great buy. And since I said I'm not brand loyal or brand specific or any of that, I'm going to show you this. This is a knockoff that I custom painted. Okay, I think that one's the 110+2 knockoff. Is it as good? No, it's better. It's got better hooks on it. It's got those hooks on it I told you about. G-Finesse, A-Mart G-Finesse triple grip. Here's another really good one. Hooks ready out of the box. That is a 6 cents. And I'm sorry to say it does not say which one it is on here. All right, if you're looking to get into some sort of special type, say you want to sink the bait a little more, you need to get it down deeper. Now there's a lot of ways to do this, and you can add stick-on weights, that type of thing, or, and I'm gonna give the company credit because they came up with this weight. This is a Nishine Erie 115 SD. And what I want to separate here is that weight. You see that little tiny weight. It's on a split ring. You can add them, you can take them off. And as you pause the bait, you can let it get down to the depth you want. Now, Nishine also makes some great grip baits. Here is a Nishine Erie 95 SD. You'll see the colors are really good. This is a very grayish type matte finish on this one. This is a shad type pattern. There's a little chartreuse on the bottom, kind of pinkish in the middle, to a grayish black top, but again, a matte finish. Nishine also makes some great rip baits. And look, there's a lot of companies out there that I haven't even touched on, to be honest with you. Don't feel like you have to be locked into any one brand, and quite honestly, I wouldn't be locked into any one brand. There's no one bait that just does everything you want perfectly. It's absolute nonsense to even think that that's possible. A good old staple from the old days for me, Lucky Craft Stacy 90. Okay, you see it's a little deeper diving bill, a little shorter bait, come in a bunch of great colors, 2 hooks instead of 3. Was always a very, very good producer for me on a lot of different bodies of water. Spotted bass really seem to like this model for some reason. And if they're eating it, who really cares, right? Oh boy, we've got 50 baits here grabbed onto each other. But have no fear, I can edit it out. Another Lucky Craft called the Flash Minnow SP. I don't know if they still make this or not. You'll see it's a very short, shallow bill, okay? Higher in the water column. This is a bait I typically use in the spring for fishing flats. However, if it presents itself, it's still a great bait in the fall if those fish are getting up in the real shallow water, okay? And the pointer that I showed you earlier, the pointer 128, I think it was, the pointer comes in various different sizes. They don't label their baits with them so much, but I'm pretty sure that's the 90 or 90 some odd. Another great bait. The pointers tend to have a little thicker body, a little more profile there. That's actually a very, very good size for a lot of bodies of water for the bait. Now, not necessarily mine because there's a lot of 5 and 6 inch thread fins in them, but that is a probably 3.5 to 4 inch. I believe it's a 90 something. And again, you can fish them with a little heavier line. Now, when you don't want to fish with a little heavier line, and this is probably, oh no, it's not labeled. Maybe Kevin will say something. I believe this is a Daiwa. This is a lighter line jerk bait. Okay, spinning rod, pretty much what we fished it on. This is a going to get you bit by anything that's around jerk bait. Absolutely phenomenal. I'm pretty sure it's a Daiwa. They may not even be made anymore, but it's a spinning rod jerk bait. Or BFS now. We didn't have BFS in the old days. All right, guys, look, there's a ton of other rip baits on the market, a ton of good rip baits on the market. I just ask that you look into the rip bait, its niche of where it shines, and fill your box with baits for different situations, because there is no one rip bait that does it all. You kind of need to experiment with different things. The Megabass is probably easily the best finesse, but if you add a little bit of wind chop and wind to the water, all of a sudden that Berkeley Stunna, the Varuna, the Rudra, they all start coming into play. The Lucky Craft, and tons of others, to be honest with you. You just got to play around with them. The rip bait is one of the best fish catchingest baits in the spring and the fall for suspended fish, and it's been around long before forward facing came about, and it was catching fish long before forward facing came about. I encourage you to up your rip bait game. You will find a lot of success with it. I'm Sean the Average Angler. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.